So given that we're looking at a second quarter net income slump for you, and you've already talked about reviewing possible new cost cuts in the wake of COVID-19, does the numbers that you've seen come through for the second quarter, does that mean you might accelerate cost cuts?
Good morning, media. Good talking to you again. Just to comment on the second quarter, I think everybody who can present black numbers is presenting a success story. But I think that the second quarter is the quarter with the highest difficulties in the market. We see a slight recovery into the third quarter now. What I think is cost cutting should be the priority on the list. We will not further accelerate. We did a good job already. So it stays with our 700 million as a cost cut for 2020. And then we have to see whether or not there will be recovery in the second half of 2020. And then we will decide on the next year.
Yeah. What is your outlook for the second half, though? How much of a recovery do you actually see?
Well, I think that especially jet will come back a bit. We have now 25% of jet previously demand. I think we will go into the 50s at the end of the year. Then the pressure on diesel in the refining market will be less. Right now, the diesel cracks are the problem in the refining industry. I see a stable polymer and petchem business also in the second half. Now automotive industry is slightly coming back. Therefore, I think there is an upside in petchem. But all will depend whether or not we do see a second corona wave.
Yes, absolutely. Now, on the subject of other industries other than oil and gas, of course, your Borealis deal, Rainer, should help the shift from oil and gas into plastics for OMV. But leverage is set to rise above the long-term target of 30% as a result of that deal. So you could say asset sales are crucial. What's the status on asset sales?
Well, first of all, we do have a very healthy and strong balance sheet. If you look on our cash position, we are talking 5.8 billion. We have undrawn credit facilities of 3.2 billion euros. So I think we do have the financial muscles, but you're absolutely right. Our divestment should go on. We are well on track. I think we will announce the results of our negotiations in the second half of this year. I plan that this will be part of my leveraging of our situation. So we will have a temporary up in the gearing, but we will work hard that we will be complying with our target.
Yeah, and what you mentioned COVID-19 a little earlier, Rainer, in terms of the outlook. What does the pandemic mean for consumer demand for plastics around the world? Is your Borealis investment case still valid?
Oh, it's extremely good. It tells us that plastic is really saving lives. What we can see is that, especially in healthcare, look, the mask is just the polymer business. What we are talking about is that people are now changing their mind that they would like to have a folia buying everything. At best, you make a stamp on it, it's corona-free. That's what customers are telling me. So I think that especially the healthcare sector is going good. And the polymers into automotive are now recovering. So Borealis is delivering very stable, very good demand, and their internationalization, I think it's a proof of concept. And I do see the value of Borealis, especially in an integrated picture of OMV. You know, we only could run our refineries 10% more than the average in Europe because of Borealis, because we could shift jet into petchem and not jet into diesel, and that's a competitive advantage.
Yeah. Rainer, can I ask about Nord Stream 2? Do you think a collective EU response to the US sanctions is coming?
I do hope so. I do hope so. I think we are not talking about a pipeline. Europe has to understand that we have to talk about European sovereignty. And what we have to show is European solidarity to give an answer as Europe. If we don't protect our investment climate in Europe, what else shall we do? I think it's a political initiative which really needs a European political answer.
Yeah. So has OMV engaged with the Austrian government to talk about possible aid for the investment if the project collapses, Rainer?
Well, we discuss with several parties. We are also talking to our friends in the United States that they better understand our position and that the pipeline project is increasing the security of supply in Europe. But honestly speaking, I'm not a politician. The politicians have to give an answer, and they have to understand how and what kind of answer they want to give.
Rainer, we're getting through a lot of topics today. I really appreciate your dexterity during this interview. I want to ask about diversity, because OMV is actually a leader in terms of diversity among its peers. You've got 40% of the current board being female. Talk to me a little about your future diversity plans and the impact it's having on the business.
Well, I think when we talk about diversity, it's not only the topic of gender. I think it's internationalism what is the centerpiece. If we declare OMV as an international company, it should be reflected also in our personalities we do have within OMV. So I will more focus on internationalization and diversity. You're absolutely right, 40% is a good number, but we should strive at least for equality.